Okay, now that winter's here, I've decided to have a go at fitting a set of these grips. A few people have got them, said they're great, so I thought I'd jump on the bandwagon. Fitting them onto my GSX S1000 naked, as there's no real video about how to fit them onto this bike, so I thought I'd just add one. So the first thing I want to check is how to fit some of the hardware. So there's some stuff that needs to be physically attached on the bike. This is the bracket for the controller for the grips. Looking at the position it somewhere neat and tidy, out of the way too much. I don't want it sticking up, so I'm going to get a little U-bolt to fit across the bars and fit the position controller here. That should be nice and neat. The left grip is slightly longer than the original one, so I'll just trim the little end piece off to match the same length. And the throttle grip is the same length, so that should be fine. Just need to do a little bit of trimming probably to the throttle tube and a bit of sanding on the bar. So we'll have a look at that next. Now, one thing to remember on this bike is the Yoshi edition. It's got these fancy little Yoshi bar ends. Now I'll need to take the little sticker off and try and reuse that because it hides the screw. Just going to remove the bar end now. Now it's held in place by a little Allen key there. Now you've got to be real careful about this because there's a nut on the end of a long thread, and you can unscrew it a fair bit and then just sort of tap it in to release the friction inside the bar. So here's one that I've taken out. So what you can see is if you unscrew that nut too much, then it will fall inside the bars and you'll need to turn the bike upside down to get it out. So just be careful when you're doing that bit. Okay, now need to remove the old rubber grip. Easiest way to do that is to get the sturdy, well used Stanley knife or craft knife and just slice along the rubber and then peel it off. So I'll do that on both sides. So that's the rubber grip sliced with the Stanley blade, so that should now just peel off like that. So just do the same to the other side. Left grip, pretty straightforward. Just removed the old one, cleaned off the old glue, and it just slipped on a treat, so I haven't glued it in place yet. And I've also just trimmed the end off the bar, off the grip rubber, just so that it fits with the bar ends as it was before. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to do it on this bike is that I'd heard that the throttle tube is not just plain, and you can see here that there's a ridge on the end and quite a ridge at the end, and there's quite a number of raised ridges to grip the rubber. So the problem is when you go to fit the new grip, it won't go on, so you need to do quite a bit of trimming to the throttle tube before that'll fit. So I'm going to have a go at that next. You'll see that I've had to remove virtually all of the ribbon that was originally on the throttle tube to get the new grip to fit. The other complication is that at the end here it's got this raised ridge. Now that stops the new grip going all the way in because the original grip folded over that and made it nice and neat, which you can see on here. So obviously the new Oxford grip doesn't have that, so I need to do a little bit of massaging on that ridge just to get the throttle grip to slide fully home, make it neat. So you'll see that I had to do quite a fair bit of butchering to the end of that to make it so the new grip will fit fully home without a big ugly gap. So the new grip will fit on now. So that looks nice and neat, reasonable gap to allow clearance, and I've just slid it out so that the bar end fits nicely. Now what I'll do is I'm going to trim the end off that just to match the one on the other side, so it doesn't look a bit odd. Then I'll just slide the whole switch and throttle assembly out so that it matches. So that's the grips fitted in place but not glued, all nicely matched up. So next stage is to get a little U-bolt and fix the bracket, then I can attach everything properly. I looked at the options for mounting the bracket and the U-bolt option was horrible. So I've decided to fit the bracket on the left hand side of the bars and double it over. Not ideal, and I'll probably change it later, but it gets it on for now. Okay, had to go out for a while, so came back and thought I'd finish this just before it gets dark. So everything fitted. And working. Nice and toasty. So everything on. Just had to feed the cables, which I've just to finish off, tidy up, so I'll seal them up with a heat shrink. Just fed them through underneath the tank. Just removed this side panel here, just to give me a bit more access. Now this panel is an interesting one to work with, so be careful. You can see that it's got a hook up here which goes towards the front of the tank, and then there's a bracket here in the middle that hooks over that, and then you've got poppers, so it kind of pops out and then slides back just to secure it, and then it's got two kind of velcro type pads as well. So that should be pretty straightforward. All wired up, so good to go.